Hey guys, welcome to Rebel Media. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Hope you like the video. Please consider subscribing. And if you're returning, as always, you know I love you guys. Thanks for being here. This is already a long video, so I'm going to try and keep this short. But just a little background. This house is located on the property of the National Confederate History Museum. Elm Springs is in Columbia, Tennessee. It's a beautiful antebellum home. It was built in 1837 by a couple of wealthy cotton merchants who give it to their sister, who marries a man named Abram M. Looney, who's a prominent attorney in the area, and he's an outspoken Southern guy, and he ends up being a captain and a colonel of the Confederate Army and commands no other than Company Aytch, from the book Company Aytch with Sam Watkins. So that's just a little tidbit of history there. My tour guide asked to not be filmed, so out of respect to her, I did not film her, but her wonderful, soothing Southern accent throughout the house really brings the house and the history to life, I think. And it was a wonderful experience for me, which is why it's going to be mostly unedited, and just so you guys can get as close to the same experience that I had that day. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
This property and house was bought for the sister of two guys that lived in New Orleans. They were cotton brokers, wealthy guys, Nathaniel and James Dick. Okay. And their sister Sarah, they bought this place for her and had this house built for her in 1835.
Wow.
It took about 2 years to complete the building of this house. And there was about 300 acres at the time that went with it. So this was not a plantation home.
Okay.
It was just a family that lived in this nice house, and they lived off the land. They had people that helped them do crops. They had cows and chickens, and they shot deer off the property and birds. So they sustained themselves. The bricks, the clay was dug on the property, and it was killed on this property. So that's what they built the house with. Huh. The master builder was Murray. Well, the builder was Murray County's master builder. His name was Nathan Vault, okay. And he's built a lot of houses in Murray County. And his signature is that little scroll that he puts on the risers, right over there.
That's his signature.
Yeah, so if you go in a house that he has built and you see those, you'll know who built the house.
Oh, wow.
Nathan Vault. He also built the house across the way. It's called Fairmont.
Okay.
And they loved this house, so he built their house to match this
So
house.
It's a mirror mansion, right?
Except for one thing.
Okay.
These wanted their kitchen to the side. They put theirs traditionally in the back, like most antebellum houses.
Detached, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time that this house was built in 1835, this was the largest foyer that they had in this area.
Are these the original floors?
They are the original floors, except for those in the dining room, and I'll tell you the story behind that when we do the dining room. Okay. Yeah, these are old growth yellow poplar, and this room has been a little bit abused, because what I was going to say about the floors being kind of abused is there's been a lot of meetings in this home so they could use it and keep it up. Like, I mean, I was in a garden club at one time, and this is where we met, so the floors have been a little bit abused. Now, we're under restoration right now, and there was a closet right here, and they're taking all the closets out and the bathrooms to make it back the way it was. And this was the wallpaper that was still in the closet. So they may try to find something similar to that to use here. And I don't know if this is what they're going to use to paint the trim with. Mm-hmm. But here's some pictures they took before they took it down. But anyway, that's what they have here. The furniture that we have in the home, there's only a few pieces that belong to the family. That was one of them. And do you know what that is? It's a little pier table. The ladies would check their petticoats and make sure they weren't showing.
Look at that, the mirror underneath there.
Very vulgar for women to go out with their petticoats showing. So before they would leave, they would check their petticoats. These tables are original to the house. And there was no overhead lighting, so they had these lots of mirrors and lots of candles to provide light. If you come on a day that it's cloudy, it's dark in here. So anyway, we have a lot of furniture that's been donated. If it's the right time period, we can accept it. A lot of people are getting away from antiques. Kids don't want them. I don't get it.
What a shame.
Isn't that a shame? That piece was donated by Winona Judd.
No way.
Yeah. She liked antiques. This is a bust of one of the brothers. This is Nathaniel Dick. And like I said, they were wealthy guys. And for some reason, during that period in time, they wanted their heads to look like Roman gods.
Yeah, that's weird.
So Sarah was able to acquire that some way. This room, if you were a guest in this house, after dinner, the men would retire to this room for cigars and some brandy or whatever they wanted to drink. And the ladies would retire to the ladies' room, parlor, and they would shut these doors, these pocket doors, because, these guys, their conversation might get a little bit offensive to genteel ears. So they always shut the pocket doors. Those pocket doors, by the way, are original.
To the home.
Pretty much everything in this house is original.
What about the piano?
The piano got a story. It's original, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that, but it's connected to a guy that's on the wall in there, so I'll tell you that story in a little bit.
And another piano in there.
Yeah, that one was just donated.
But this one's always been here.
It belonged to the family. Like I said, the gentlemen would come in here, have their libations and smoke their cigars and talk about politics and whatever. That couch is original. It was in here. It belonged to the Looney family. The sconces on the walls were theirs. And like I said a minute ago, those pocket doors are original. This room was also used for two other purposes. When there was a death in the family, they brought the casket in this room, and they had a wake. And that was like 3 or 4 days that they would wait and make sure the patient wasn't going to wake up, because the stethoscopes at that time were not very strong, and if the patient had a weak heart or maybe they were in a coma, they couldn't detect it. So they would tie a little bell on their finger or on their toe, and that way if they woke up or moved around or anything, you could hear the bell ringing and you know they weren't really dead.
Man.
Yeah.
What a story. That's wild.
That's where the old expression came, bell ringer, dead bell ringer. They would also, if it was hot outside, they would acquire ice and put around the body to try to keep the decomposition from being so rapid and the smell. And they also came up with the custom of bringing sweet-smelling flowers in, like we do today. So
that's cool.
They would have the funeral here, and then they would take the casket out through this door right here. This is called a jib door, J-I-B. And they would raise the window up as far as it would go and open these doors, and then they could take the casket out through here to the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And also, if the ladies were having like a little luncheon party or something, the servants could bring their food in and out that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a jib door.
Jib door.
JIB. We have one more in the dining room that I'll tell you about when we get there. Ladies' parlor, more genteel, diminutive furniture for the ladies. They didn't need to sprawl all out like the guys did. They would come in this room for their tea, or maybe a little glass of sherry.
Mm.
Okay, now this guy is connected with the piano.
Okay.
His name was John C. Brown. He was a general, of course, in the Confederate Army, and he fought at the Battle of
Spring Hill. Oh, in Franklin.
Franklin, the big bloody one.
Yeah, yeah.
But when he was a young man, he wanted to become an attorney. So he came to Columbia. He went to Jackson College. At the same time, Colonel Looney was a student there. And they became fast friends. Just, very, very close friends. So as a result, John spent a lot of time in this home. And when he was wounded at the Battle of Franklin, he asked them to bring him down here to convalesce. And of course, he felt comfortable here because he'd been here so much. Mm-hmm. And they took good care of him. And as a result, he bought that piano for them.
Oh, that's a great story.
It's a gift. Isn't that kind and sweet?
That is a wonderful story.
He also, another interesting thing about him that was in my material is that after the war, he became the first post-war Democratic governor of Tennessee. And he wrote some things into law that are still being used today. So he was not only a handsome man, he was very intelligent. And must have been a good general.
Must have been a good guy.
Yeah. I love it that they have his portrait in here.
Yeah, I love that story. To the house.
Okay, now we're going to go to the dining room. This is where the family took their meals. And they did research on this paint. And it is the original color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They really
Is this the original wallpaper too?
No.
Or a facsimile?
Yes, it is. It is a period reproduction, and they chose it, I guess, because of this green stuff in here.
They like the green.
Yeah, they like the green, and then I'm sure that's why they decorated these windows with these pink curtains to kind of tie it all together. These chairs were theirs. They're all original, hand carved. The table was not theirs, neither was the silver or the china. Those were donated. But these pieces were theirs.
Wow, the hand carving is something. These were their pieces right here.
These silver pieces were theirs, and my material said that during the war, when the Yankees would come, they'd hide them in the cistern. They had a cistern here. Mm-hmm. And this is real interesting too. This is called a magic caster. And they would put their little condiments, their little vinegar and oils and salad dressings and things like that. And it's real heavy, so I'm sure the servant would have to pass it around, because this is just too heavy to be passed at the table.
Look at that.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
I think it suffered a little bit of damage because it's kind of floppy job. But that's okay that it's still here.
Yeah, a little lantern here.
That is a pickle jar.
Pickle jar.
Yeah, see the little tongs? So they would put the pickles in there and retrieve them.
That's cool. So people like pickles back then.
Yeah, they like pickles.
I like pickles too.
I love pickles. That piece over there, that Jackson, it's called a Jackson press, that belonged to the family. And it's really pretty.
Who's this gentleman right
That is General Franklin Armstrong. And the reason why his portrait is hanging here so fondly is because he kept this home from being burned to the ground.
No way.
Yeah, and the house across the road, and a lot of the antebellum houses that are still standing, because Sherman was going to have a battle in Columbia. It never panned out. And this may be the reason. When he wanted to do that, he would send his troops to clear out a mile wide and a mile long property. So all the homes, all the barns had to be burned to the ground, and all the trees had to be chopped down. Well, his spies found out about it, Franklin Armstrong's spies, so he sent troops to all the homes to keep them from being burned down. And they got to this house, and they had already lit a fire with a broom in this fireplace and thrown it under those steps. But that those soldiers were responsible for it not being burned to the ground.
Oh, wow.
Them, and we do have in our records a bit, well, I'm assuming he was big, a servant named Samson. So he helped too. And then they shot the Yankee soldiers right out here in the yard.
No way.
What the guy ran out that had lit the fire, and then there was another one in front of him that was carrying a big bundle of sticks to go burn Fairmont across the road. The sister house that I told you about.
Yeah, right over here.
Yeah. So they didn't get to do that. And so Miss Looney was so grateful to General Armstrong that she gave him probably the only thing of any value that she had at the time. This was toward the end of the war, and it was a decanter of brandy. And so he carried that decanter in his saddlebags until the end of the war. And then his family, he went home and told his family the story, and they sent it back to us. So it's over there in that cabinet with the provenance right there with it.
Oh, up top here.
Let me turn this light on to see if you can get that better. Or it might make a glare.
Oh, look at that. And he carried that in his saddlebag, huh?
Yes.
Wow. Pretty cool to have that.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
I just love it. Now, the reason why this floor is not the same as the rest of the house, all the other floors in this home are old growth poplar. This one, this is our other jib door right here.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah. And at one time when this house stood empty, there was a man that was allowed to cut hay off his property, and he stored it in this room through that jib door, and it rotted the floors.
Oh.
So when in the 1950s, when they decided to restore this home, they put, this is what we were putting in our homes at the time, this oak, which is fine, but we wouldn't rather have that poplar. Woo-wee. We'll go across the hall.
Ooh, this is a good looking room.
Yeah, this has been your room.
Yeah.
This is Colonel Looney. This was his study. And he would sit in here with his best buddies, and they would have a fire and a drink and smoke their cigars and talk about the farm or politics, or he would invite his best friends in here. No women, of course, just gentlemen. And also, before they restored this house, when you went out these two doors over here behind you, they went outside.
Okay.
And the overseer would come in through this door right here, and he was usually dirty from farming, and he would not track up Miss Looney's floors, but he was allowed to come in here and talk to Colonel Looney about what they needed.
This is a great room. I have two green wingback chairs in my office at home, so that's pretty funny.
Well, the reason why the walls are painted so dark is because of the cigar smoke. And the ladies just got tired of trying to wash it off, so they started painting them dark colors like this. And dens for years were always either painted a dark color or paneled, and I just hated it. But that must have been why.
How about that?
The lamp in this room was in the Murray County Courthouse where he worked. And in 1850, they decided to raise that building. And he asked for this lamp. It was a gasolier at the time. And it's all original except for the electric part of it. It has survived all those years, those globes even.
Wow. That's great.
Okay, now we're going to go upstairs.
Okay.
And I don't think I told you earlier, but the stairs were only used by the guests. The family didn't use them. So you're our guest today, so we're going to use them.
All right.
And you'll notice how short the railings are because
people were shorter.
People were shorter back then. Some of them were, some of them weren't.
There's a few tall people out there.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what's cool? These old banisters, they've just been held so many times, you know?
Yeah. And you'll find our floors up here look a lot better as well.
Mm.
They haven't had the traffic that the others did. This room has kind of collected a lot of the furniture that people have donated, so they don't really know what to do with it, I guess. But, this room was used for the family to get together in the evening after dinner. The children stayed on this side, and they would come in here with the adults, and they would play games, they would read books, just whatever, you know, whatever they did as a family, kind of like the way we do in a den. And in the summer, when it was hot, they would raise that window up as far as they could get it going, and then this door they would open and catch the breeze. And
oh yeah, I love that.
Have a beautiful view.
Where they shot the Yankees down there.
Yeah, they shot them.
Right there?
Yeah, right there on that sidewalk, one of them. The other one was shot on the porch.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they do with them? Do you know?
Well, I don't sure. Scarlett buried hers in a garden or something, so I don't know. They had to hide them somewhere, didn't they?
Oh, I bet.
Now this room is the, we have to say primary room now. I can't say master.
Really? Why?
Master?
You can't say master.
No, I can't say master.
Oh, jeez.
I know, and it just makes me sick.
That's so insane.
But anyway, this is the room that we believe was Christopher Todd and Sarah Dick's room, because their son died in this house when he was 21. So he was the first person to pass away in this house. And she wanted to be able to get up in the mornings and look at her son's grave, which is
right out here.
So that's why we think this was probably their bedroom.
Where's the graveyard? Oh, straight ahead, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
The furniture in this room did not belong to the family, but I have a real good story about the bed, which I'll tell you in a minute. They did not have closets in the houses back then because the government would
tax you for each room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they used these armoires to store their clothes in. Okay, now about the bed. I don't know how we were able to acquire this bed. They didn't tell me, but it is a really cool story. This bed came out of a mansion, and I mean a mansion, in Mississippi. Big place. The Yankees came through, and they were going to burn her house. And she said, "Can I just have my bed?" And so they felt sorry for her, I guess. And they said, "Yeah, we'll take your bed out." So they hauled her bed out to the front yard, and she stood out there and watched them burn her house to the ground.
Oh, man.
And after they left, she got in these hollow posts and got all of her silver out that she had hidden in there.
She hid it in there. That's really cool.
Yeah. So she was.
How did she hide them in there? I guess it comes up on top.
Those top things, they come off and they're hollow, so she could just throw them down in there.
That is another wonderful story.
Isn't that great? I think she was. They said she was able to rebuild her house with that silver.
No kidding.
Of course, it probably went sky high after the war.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This is a crazy quilt. Are you familiar with those?
No, ma'am.
It's not a good example because it's been crudely put together. But what they would do is their nice cloths, like their satins, their velvets, those kind of things, they would save them and then just stitch them together any way they could do it.
Wow.
And then they use some sort, now this is just little hatch marks.
And it was called a crazy?
Crazy quilt because
Crazy
it's got a crazy design to it.
I like it.
Well, I've seen some incredible ones done before with little rosebuds. And,
Oh, man.
you know, if you wanted to really make it special, you know. But anyway, that's nice.
I like that.
That's pretty
That's
good.
something I didn't know about either.
See, I taught you something.
Oh, you've taught me a bunch.
I'm glad. I'd like to teach you.
I love listening to your accent, too. I could listen to you all day.
You're so sweet. This is the room that the latter families lived in, the Looneys, Colonel Looney and his wife Susan. And the bed and the dresser and the nightstand belong to them. So we had those. And see, this nightstand has those little rollers. I don't know if the dresser does or not.
Yeah, it does.
It does. The bed doesn't.
Well, we know to look for these rollers, and we know it's old.
But that was their furniture.
And whose crib?
There was a crib in here at one time, and I'll tell you why, but that was just loaned to us, and it's really happier days. That needs to have an antique dealer get a hold of it because it's kind of coming apart. And these were their little washstands where they would bathe up, and the servants would bring them plenty of hot water, and he would shave. And now, the story about this room. It had his and her on the wall.
Look at that.
That's what I was going to tell you. They had a baby that died before it was a year old. They took it downstairs and they had to wait. And they waited about 4 days and it never woke up. So he was dead. And they closed the casket, carried him out through the jib door, buried him in the family cemetery. That night, Susan, the mother, became hysterical, saying that she could hear that baby crying. And they could not get her to be calm. So she told her husband, Colonel Abram, to go down there and wait and get that baby out of the cemetery.
Oh, my.
And he brought it up here, and when they opened the casket, all the lining was scratched out of the top of it.
Oh, my God.
That baby had begun to suffocate, and then he tried to get out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And she and the baby are our ghosts.
Okay, I was going to ask you if there's any spirits around here.
Yeah. They said that she, on a spooky, rainy, dark night, you can see her up here looking down at the cemetery, and you can hear the baby cry.
Oh, man, that's spooky.
Well, I've heard a lot more spooky than that, but that is our house story.
Well, I appreciate your time today.
I love doing it. Okay, this is the children's wing. This, they said, they had it fixed up for the little boys. That's called a half-teaster bed.
You would put the mosquito net on there? Or?
Yeah, I'm sure they would, yeah.
This rocker
Okay.
was really something.
Yeah, it's, it's got a purpose. It's a birthing chair.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And was it used?
I'm assuming so. It's very, very old.
Yeah, look at that.
I can just see little black girl standing back here, and when they say, lift her up, she did.
Oh my goodness.
But But yeah, it's a birthing chair. I had never seen one before.
Yeah, I've never seen one either.
And I suspect, I would love to sit in it, but I'm not going to do it. I would think it would make a great rocker for the baby too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a birthing chair.
How about that?
This is the little girl's room.
Oh.
Well, we need some bed dressing on that bed.
Seems like we're getting a little low on this side.
Well, I think they're just cardboard boxes.
A little crib.
If we want anything done, we have to save and save and save and save.
Yeah, it was part of what made me want to come visit this place.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
Was just saying how there's no government funding and that you guys do everything.
Yes, we do.
So that you can't be.
That's why I actually started doing this, because I heard that they didn't have enough people to tour the house with, and they were losing money because people would want to come tour. And so I just come every Thursday and do that. That dollhouse is an exact reproduction of Carnton Mansion.
Mm-hmm. I have been to Carnton.
It's a neat one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
look at that.
They decided they didn't want it, so they sent it down here to us. I don't know anything about that, but except that. And
you've been there, I imagine.
Yes. I love that place, and there's a great book about it called The Black Flower.
I've read it.
Have you?
Yes, ma'am.
You're the only person I've ever told that to that said you'd read it.
I read that, and I read a book called The Widow of the South, which is it's a romantic, historical fiction, but...
I was telling somebody today there's another book about it, but I couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah, after I went up there, I had to read those books.